is it? Just click this. Okay. T-plane. Oh, here we go. Fox News. Oh, come on. Oh. RT America, RT UK, RT, let's go with RT News. Come on, Chomo. Yeah, the original title of this video. The original title of this video was Chomo's so obsessed that he can't stop staring at my face. YouTube immediately reloaded the page and sent me to a different place. And I thought, yeah, since the point of this is why aren't they ventilating things that are already have it installed? And you notice I left it 15 minutes and it's taken them a while to get on. So Israel is telling the International Criminal Court that they don't have the authority to investigate things in Palestine. I'm going to tell you, yes, we do. And since we got close allies inside the USMPC, I think you better shut your phone, pussy. You'll end up just like Yahoo over there. The nothing Yahoo. Nothing Yahoo. And the other thing it says here, where we go? Now I'm going to just press play. Chomo's fucking obsessed.
They're being pushed out of the market because of those price increases, but they're not showing up in our measures. So when we talk about inflation 1 or 2%, you know, it excludes all these things. So it's not picking them up.
Right. So they're not used. They don't include automobile, even though the prices are skyrocketing. They're not including housing. The prices are skyrocketing. Many would argue, myself being one of them, is that the reason to lie and use sophistry to talk about 1 and 2% inflation is to keep interest rates low, so that when a hedge fund blows up, like we just had last week, another huge multi-billion-dollar hedge fund blew up, and they just basically were able to quickly bail them out very, very quickly because the cost of money is zero.
They implode.
Right. So, I mean, is that why they lie? Just to bail these hedge funds?
Keep it up, Chomo. Keep it up. So, as I said, the instant he sees my face, he starts tapping the button. So, that's what happened 20 minutes ago.
Including
I left the 20 minutes, it took 5 fucking minutes to get online. It was 3.
Pension plans such as Social Security.
And the other headline we got here.
And other things, you know, this is one way of bringing down these
Keep
costs.
It up, Chomo. Yes, I speak and then stop, because within 8 seconds you will be doing this. So what? I can still hear the audio. Your genius ass is jamming up the video when what I'm sharing is the audio. You're fucking stupid, Chomo. Go smoke some more shit. I need the money. Netherlands, Portugal. Latest to ditch AstraZeneca COVID vaccine for under 60s after EMA blood clot review. Ex-NFL star Philip Adams, I don't know what the fuck that is, kills 5, then himself in South Carolina shooting spree, reports. No, here it is. The European Court of Human Rights has just opened the door for mandatory COVID-19 vaccines across the continent. The continent? No, the Union. This European Economic Community. The Eurozone and the European Union. And then there's Europe. Turkey is in Europe. Yes, it is. But it's not a part of any of those other things, is it? Okay, so you start telling people in Europe they have to take injections and come with us and show us your papers. I'm going to tell you, like this, when you're from North America, you know all about slave trade, fight for freedom, all these different things that happen over here. This is a completely different type of thing on the other side. They're not going to be happy at the end of this. They just leave it at that. Oh, what the fuck is that? And I'm going to point out what you're doing wrong here. See these syringes? Why do you insist on making them? For the cost of 500 of them, you would have a machine that could work for 20 fucking years. No penetrating of the skin, no possibility of a blood clot, no possibility, I don't know how to phrase this. You reuse the same machine on every person. It cannot spread anything. Oh, that's bad. What did the nurse up here do 2 years ago? Reusing one of these fucking syringes over and fucking over because she didn't know you can't do that because somebody gave her some promotional item, so she reused it on every fucking patient. What did we hear 3 months ago in the long-term care homes? They're reusing syringes. So these are insulin syringes. No one has explained to me yet how 30. What is it? 30 cents a piece, eh? So what would that be? About 1,000 of them. I said 500. Let's say about 1,000 because there's no way that machine is still $500. So remember Star Trek, the hypo spray? It already existed when TNG put it on their fucking the next generation Star Trek, the next generation used it. Oh yes it did. Oh yes it did. Okay. Come on, Chomo. I know you. I know what triggers you. I've been dealing with you for a year and a half. And you couldn't get more clear. You couldn't get more clear about your pathologies when you start. I don't know how to phrase this. This idiot's constantly approaching me, telling me, talking to me. It's not on the phone, but on the internet, for example. So you can't do that without the person you're attacking being able to completely psychoanalyze you. And that's what makes it so funny. All these people, those idiots, they're social workers, whatever, the crown attorneys, all these people talking amongst each other about what's wrong with me and this and that, all the way along. They're bringing themselves forward to attack me. I've never done anything to these people. So the stories you get are so fucking random and I want to say oppositional. They oppose each other in such ways they can't be true. It's not just that one or the other must. Neither of them can be true. Oh. So why don't they enforce the existing ventilation things? Yeah, go into your bank, ask them, why is the ventilation turned off? If they start talking about air conditioning or heating, repeat to them, I didn't ask about that. The legally required ventilation to allow people into the building at all. Your fire certificate, your occupancy certificate, all that is invalid if you don't leave the machine running. You're not allowed to turn it off. You could call it a rooftop ventilator, an air handler, positive pressure ventilation, whatever you want to call it. And hey, Chomo, you're about to get really fucking mad. Yeah, it's been the edits I see. I don't know what you see on the resulting video, but the edits I see on this are hilarious. So it's much. This part here is not encrypted. From this camera to my box to my screen is not encrypted the same way as the signal that goes out to YouTube. It's just flutter, 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 flutter. And then the circle mouth with no teeth. The circle mouth with no teeth. No teeth. Now, I know everybody doesn't do this, but I do. Okay? My teeth always been like that. I know you don't get it. You insist my mouth looks like this and that there's letter U's on my fucking... I can't. This idiot's been doing that for about 6 months. What is it, March? It's April now? Let's say 8 months. That's what he's obsessed with. I don't want to say the things he says about me. I'll put it to you like this. It's a sexual attraction that dates back to 1986. Oh, you're mad. Yeah. He's fucking obsessed. It's the same bunch of child molesters the last 35 years. See? Every time I speak the truth, he starts hitting that button.
Put my seat back, don't worry about that other shit. You'll never get it back. Rise like a phoenix on that ass, just like the sun.
And his friends threatened this guy
never got a clue.
Well, 7 fucking years ago. And this track dropped a couple months ago.
They don't even keep the artillery. If they cross me, then it's R.I.P. It's for our real thugs. The ones that squeeze the thorn and bleed just to smell the rosebud. In the search of finer things, maybe
Salute. Standing with a 22 in my boot. Who the fuck are you? Let me see your ID. If you don't comply, G, you're gonna see some.
Some mornings and I don't wanna be me. Say the criminal or gangster, it's all you ever be. Like there's nothing positive in me. Positive.
Yeah, every time I click, something other than what I click is getting actuated. That's hilarious, Jomo. You're so hilarious. The whole video's buffered, so this cutting in and out. You're exploiting some bad code that YouTube is notorious for.
just wake up and crush the day, and the rush to get paid. Tell God to look away.
Because I'm a thorough street sweeper. Oh, that looks good in that light. That's the Nintendo recycling logo. This plastic case contains no recycled material and may not be recyclable in your area.
Yeah, they say home is where the heart is, but back home I was living heartless. We all hard-headed, trying to prove who's hands the hardest. If thugging was an art, you could consider me an artiste.
You getting mad for it, Chomo? I'll light it when you stop, dumbass. Yes, please keep showing me my eyes. I can't move fast enough to fucking show you this. I'm looking directly at the screen. I'm watching my eyes go clank, clank, clank. Yeah, mouth hanging open in a big black circle. That's good, bro. That's what you're gonna do to me, man. Remember, you already explicitly said you're gonna rape me, give me AIDS, and drag me by the truck till I'm dead. You already said all that. So all this weird innuendo shit, don't mean shit.
It's a cold block, and I just want what you got. It's real talk.
Keep it up, Chomo.
Where the fuck I'm from? Where the fuck I'm from?
Well, if you'd stop doing that, I could aim the mirror. So he turned it off, then he turned it back on. You may be able to see that place. And you think I'm making this up? All I'll tell you is this idiot attacks me because he thinks somehow I'm keeping him from getting at your kids. Okay, and I'm not actively doing that per se, but I would. But like, you're getting so fucking mad, bro. It's a 3-minute song that's been playing for 8 fucking minutes, dog. Come on. We do the same thing almost every day, bro. There's only been 2.5 days you didn't do this of the last 8 months. Jesus Christ. Yeah, please keep. Yeah. I just skipped that video back 4 fucking times and it still went to something else. Yeah, other than what I pressed. That's interesting. And not the next fucking track in the fucking playlist either. That's funny. You're so skilled, Chomo. You do this to little kids and old people all day, right? And it's me making these videos is getting in your way of. Keep it up. Keep it up, Chomo. Keep it up, Chomo. The problem is you keep showing me with my eyes closed when I'm not even blinking. I just blinked 8 fucking times, bro. Your fucking thumb keeps slipping.
Yeah. Get it. Yeah. You need to relax. I don't need no feedback. I'm trying to put my seat back. Don't worry about that other shit. Never get it back. Rise like a phoenix. Just like they said I never do. The ones always
I have the audacity to. Like I started. Yep. Here we go. I pressed pause, and the pause thing disappears as I click it. That's good. So when it stopped last time, I was going to start talking, and it started magically on its own. This idiot. So I'm gonna try to explain. This is pathology. This is psychopathy. Me making this video here from my apartment to the internet. You have every choice to navigate somewhere else. Me doing this, he has to interfere with it. Okay, and that fact that I'm making him do that is why he's too busy to molest little kids over the internet or whatever, and therefore I'm getting in his way and I'm his enemy, and that's why he's throwing AIDS blood in my face and shit. So I just ask you to find the humanity in a pedophile. You won't find any, and then everything I just said makes sense. Looking at you, he's not thinking of me. He's thinking about taking you out of society. Keep it up, bro. Every time I start talking, you're gonna do it to it. So I've got 4 processor cores, 1.2 gigahertz, plus the graphics processing unit. Yeah, this does not make sense. 15 megabits per second down, 10 megabits per second up. I notice it's skipping at different spots. It's not something at YouTube that's the problem. Aside from the fact you use horrible code, if I've already got the video buffered, why do I need to stay in contact with your server? Well, he's dumping data on that port, so we're sending the fucking signal out and you're not getting it, and it's our fault. I'm just pointing out that you've been running the same website 16 or 17 years and you're no good at it. You're still no good at it. You know how much money you'd be making off the black artists in Canada if you would pay us? YouTube refuses to play black artists from Canada.
I just wake up across the day in the rust and get paid till the devil he can wait. I got people on the serve on the way. I just wake up across the day in the rust to get paid till God to look away.
Come on, buddy, do it. Every time I turn this, yes. Every time I look at the camera, this is how obsessed Jomo is. I'm gonna point something out. I don't look like a 40-year-old anymore. So you've been staring at me like continually my whole life, obviously. Because I've been in the same spot this whole time. I know you all keep pretending that you've been here your whole life and I just got here. See it over there, Chris lives over here, they lived over here. Over there.
Consider me an artiste. Most my friends grew up not knowing who their father is. Nothing in their fridge. You can see the ribs. Yep, this is how we live. Coming from a place that nothing.
Come on, YouTube. Why only one Chomo? Give my IP address to all of them. Why do you favor this one child pornographer? You keep giving them backdoor access into your network.
Because I feel pain too. What I've been doing, what you've been through.
So it's so simple what's happening here. As soon as an IT tech looks at the system, whatever, they'll see instantly what's happening.
Where the fuck I'm from. Yeah. I just wake up across the day in the rush to get paid till the devil he can wait. I got people on my serve on the way. I just wake up across the day in the rush to get paid. Tell God to look away. He said, what do you want to see? Yeah. I just wake up across the day. I just wake up across the day in the rush to get paid. Tell the devil he can wait. I got people on my serve on the way.
What you're really doing is making it so that
across the day in the rush to get paid. Tell God to look away. This ain't what you want to see. Yes. Wake up across the day,
fucking hell, you got the weirdest things in the edit shit, bro. I know you're using FaceApp, but you're using some weird version of it. So all you're really doing is making it so when I point out somebody else as a pedophile, everyone that's seen the last 8 months of videos and paid any attention at all will know I'm telling the truth. Let's stand over here, right here, for an hour. This idiot really doesn't believe I can see the screen. The instant I come on screen, all hell breaks loose and I start seeing these weird edits on my face. Come on, bro.
You need to relax. How we gonna be back? I'm trying to put my seat back. Don't worry about that other shit. You'll never get it back. Rise like a
he fucking hates this guy. What did he do to you, bro? Pointed out that you're a pedophile to everybody on the range?
Right up with my thugs. We just trying to get this money. You can put that on me and keep the artillery. If they cross me, then it's R.I.P. That's for my real thugs. The ones that squeeze the door and bleed just to smell the rose.
So I'll break it down for you.
That's what it sounds like.
There's a black, it sounds like a black woman's voice. Sounds like a black woman's voice. You don't hear that on the beat of every single song, do you? I would talk faster if this would stop happening. So that's how pathological this guy is with how much he hates black people. He's Indo-Dutch, he's not black. Or if he's not, but whatever, he looks good in some ways. But if you don't know the history of South Africa, these people got imported to South Africa, and they were told that they were one step higher than black people, one step lower than white people. And he insists that this is real. He said, these idiots lie to get refugee status in Canada. Look up rape gangs in South Africa. You'll understand exactly. Well, you don't have to. It's common knowledge, isn't it?
We all hard-headed, trying to prove whose head's the hardest. If nothing was an art, you could consider me an artiste. Most of my friends grew up not knowing who their father is.
I know I picked it up 100 times, about to light it.
You can see they ribs. Yep, this is how we live. Coming from a place that had nothing left to give, nothing left to take. There's nothing on the plate, but I'm dreaming of a steak. Everything at stake. I gamble with my either the 5 stars or behind bars. Love the jaws. We hold it on. Pass it on, cause I'm okay.
There's this huge delay going on my screen here.
Everything outside your window. Waiting to kill you. You think you know, but you ain't got a clue. Hear me out, so. Ain't no such thing as a search shot. It's a cold block. And I just
don't stop.
Want what you got.
I'm telling y'all, it's sabotage. It's the only track that does that. Keep it up, Chomo. Keep it up. Keep it up, Chomo. Keep it up. Keep it up, Chomo. Keep it up, Chomo. At no point do I do this. I'm doing it right now. But that's what you keep showing me. My eyes clamped shut with the letter U shaped to them, and my mouth is a perfect circle. I'll point somebody again. My mouth's a rectangle shape.
Can you feel it? I'm the realest, the hottest in the city. What
the fuck would you know? I got hair all over it, right? But I know. This idiot keeps showing me my mouth is a black circle with no teeth. So it's so blatantly obvious.
If I'm a fucking don't up, or you just gonna stand there and let me. Friends like these.
I got nigger lips. They don't go around like that, bro. Ever.
Say most of the world, so it was, so it'll be. Until we wake the fuck up. Yeah, I've been a cheat. But that ain't all there is to me. Me and Lady Luck, we got history. Cause I shouldn't be here physically. I'm even front. If I was gone, I know you'll be missing.
We've now been at this 25 fucking minutes, bro. You're fucking for one song. Wow, you're that obsessed.
Waiting on me, this rapper suck. I know y'all been waiting on me. Yeah, mama used to do it. Now the boys say the same shit. Putting other families through it. The streets get hectic.
See, there's no connection between the two sides of the screen. And I know this might not be the easiest thing for a pedophile to understand, but both sides can't freeze up at the same time. They're completely separate.
But we're not like by God. All my thugs know. There's no days off. How much do you want?
Well, every time you do that, I'm gonna stop and wait. So
it hurts less if you put the band-aid off. My life moves too fast. Tell me how to hit bars. All I know is gas. How he be the spark, but to set it off. Been a blast. I got hard times in the rear view. Something on the deck I could nod to. I got hard times in the rear view. Something in the deck I could nod to.
Oh, Jesus Christ, bro. I'm not gonna click on anything if this keeps happening. It's that fucking simple. I know. Every time I'm reaching over, oh, he's doing it now. Oh, maybe he's doing it now. No, I'm leaning on the fucking shelf, stupid. Jesus Christ, your pathology is so fucking pathetic.
I got something that we cannot do. Got something to take, we cannot do.
5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. See what I'm talking about? He's got an 8,000 millisecond ping time. So, how is this across all websites? How is this across all websites, all apps, all everything? It's always 8-second hang time after I log into YouTube, but not any other time. You really think your VPN is private? You know who sold you that service? Every dollar you spend comes back to me, stupid.
2020 is all about keeping your head up.
Jesus.
You coming back, or did you forget us? I'll wait here for a while. I get
So this has nothing to do with Chomo, but I can only see 2 fucking tracks here at a time, and I'm trying to scroll through 130, and it keeps locking up, so I'm just not going to press anything until that stops. So I know I'm not overloading my system, which means the data is coming from somewhere. Every time I fucking blink, it locks, and then releases over and fucking over. You're fucking pathetic, Chomo. You're using the exact same tool every day that somebody fucking handed you, and you think your shit's not at. Losers always say they right, even when they know they wrong. Only real mistake is not learning from your mistakes. Like the face of a clown, the smiles of frowns. It's it's sad. The fucking answers are in the song, and he doesn't even hear what he's jamming up. Trying to count the stars, something about the night sky makes me wish I had wings. And if I did, I would fly so far away from here. Keep calling me my man. Jesus Christ. Very last one on the bottom here. That was a real click, bro. This one's only 2 minutes long. Let's see how long it takes to go through this one.
You tell us something about yourself.
The details of my life are quite inconsequential.
Why don't you make that train sound come through?
Let's hear about your child.
The piano smashing sound. Well, why don't you? Jesus Christ, bro. So he just throws up the whole fucking thing. He's losing his fucking temper over there. So for the last week, I've been pointing this out. None of these other tracks did this. Just that newest one from Kid.
I keep my head asleep, keep my head asleep. Lose sleep or breathe, but it's all I need. Keep my head asleep, keep my head asleep. Lose sleep or breathe, lost already speak. Keep my head asleep, keep my head asleep. Lose sleep or breathe, but it's all I need. Keep my head asleep, keep my head asleep. Lose sleep or breathe, lost already speak. I'm on this road, and I don't know where I'm heading. Got a feeling it's a day until I stroll.
You could call it a linchpin. You could call it a kingpin.
Maybe Lord, you should come and take me. Bring an end to this shit, chasing dreams. Till the end, I'll be shit chasing with my team. Making it by any means. Heaven seems so far. When you selling what they selling, their souls for. But I spit a gold Lord. I'm a soldier, till my soul burns. It's hard to get this cold world. I'm with a bug, how the end turns out. I'm a ride till the sun burns out. Everything in this world gets wrong by time. Money makes the world keep my head asleep. Keep my head asleep. Lose sleep or breathe, but it's all I need. Keep my head asleep. Keep my head asleep.
Did I just give him a fucking heart attack or something?
Keep my head asleep. Keep my head asleep. Lose sleep or breathe, but it's all I need. Keep my head asleep. Keep my head asleep. Lose sleep or breathe while I'm already fading. Motherfucker.
It's amazing how the cursor keeps moving around. I'm so, what's the word? Hypnotized or whatever. So if you feel misled by the title, I've spent 30 minutes now waiting to start talking about ventilation. This happens every fucking day because this is how pedophiles are. Completely obsessed. Pathological. Now remember, in Canada, raping a child is considered non-violent. and they get released.
Keep my head in the streets, keep my head in the streets. Loose sleep for a green, but it's all I need. Keep my head in the streets, keep my head in the streets. Loose sleep
White boy, the South African white boy must have found out the truth. That's what the RCMP tells people about us. Stay out of our way, because they aren't going to charge us for drug trafficking, and the local police aren't allowed around us. And as long as they don't see guns, they'll sit and observe and report. So you can blah 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 blah. This idiot really believes somehow we're such informants. We got him cut off money. Because 222 tips don't pay money no more in this jurisdiction. Oh, and they said, I think it was like 10 or 20%. Only like 10, I think it was like 1 out of 5 people actually takes the reward money. And it's the crackhead pedophiles. I see the one across the hall from me, Mr. Undercover Cop or whatever. I've seen him after ratting people out, wandering up and down the street at 3 in the morning with 40 bucks in his hand, trying to find somebody. Why is it $40? Why is it $40? Because when they write $40, make you sign your name. Then when you're gone, they put a 0 and take out the other 360. So we've known since 2005 at least. We've known since 2005 at least. Actually, 2000, whatever the fuck it was. The amount they get paid is $400. It's not $40. It's $400. And the local cops have been ripping them off for 25 years or something, 30 years. And these chomos are mad at us. These crackheads are mad at us. $400. Now, if you found out somebody snitched you up for $400, a crackhead, for $400, that's almost reasonable. $40, you would have thrown him a 20-piece to fuck off. Oh, you're getting mad, Chomo. Here's the other thing I keep doing. I'm not talking directly to him. I'm just explaining to the whole world what's happening. I'm supposed to get in an argument with the pedophile over whether or not he's a pedophile. Well, if you would fucking start chatting on here again or whatever, we could have that conversation. But you are nothing to me.
So the bees be my best friend. Infatuated with the fast cars and nice clothes. You know I get that. You already know. And we don't like rats. In my neighborhood, we show you how to trap. In my neighborhood, we bring it all back. In my neighborhood, I'm from Central. Nigga, that's my neighborhood. I was raised in the neighborhood. And had the beans lined up to get it good. And I knew one day I'd do the same thing. Cause the power was got that love. Go and tell them I was raised in the neighborhood that had the beans lined up to get it good.
Temperatures at Brazil and require some shorts tomorrow night.
Bitch, I'm not wearing shorts. I'm gonna roll my jeans all the way past my knees before I switch to shorts. Hey, please see this. It looks like I got attacked by a cat, eh? Oh, you can't see because it's in the real. So from here to here is one long gouge. From here to here is a short one. Marks everywhere.
Take you while you shove to sleep, and I have killers that wait for you across the street. And this is real, like that. We're living on this gangster beat, and I'm an underground king. You can finally see it. Started out small time, but we finally made it. And this goes out to the thing that you be always hating. You couldn't keep a real nigga down 'cause I ain't faking. Started out with O's, now I'm in the kitchen baking. And then all night we ain't playing it, just take it. Raised in the neighborhood, and had the beans lined up, get it good. And I knew one day I'd do the same thing. 'Cause I ride with hustle, you got that love frame. Go and tell them I was raised.
It probably was sirens before.
In the neighborhood, that had the beans lined up to get it good. And I knew one day I'd do the same thing. 'Cause I ride with hustle.
I always picture Lurch. I always picture Lurch from the Addams Family.
see that you are a young thug, straight up and coming like a thug, young kid getting on the girls, love it, yeah. I feel you out, so you know we got the streets rockin'. You can be the one to show your boy how to make it rock. It don't make sense, so I'm still thuggin'. So me the best, then a nigga love it. Money, power, respect, that's what the streets call us. But we the ones who got to follow when they pressing on us. Little homie next to ride, he don't wanna rush it. Now we getting money, and this is never enough. And you know we can't, we love that world money. I came from nothing, so I'm always thinking love money. And this is a good look, now my pocket's not done. I do it for my niggas and my homies locked up. Raised in the neighborhood, that had the beans lined up to get it good. And I knew one day I'd do the same thing. Cause I'm out with hustle, we got that mind frame. Go and tell them I was raised in the neighborhood that had the beans lined up to get it good. And I knew one day I'd do the same thing. Cause I'm out with hustle, we got that mind frame. Go and tell them I was raised in the neighborhood that had the beans lined up to get it good. And I knew one day I'd do the same thing. Cause I'm out with hustle, we got that mind frame. Go and tell them I was raised in the neighborhood that had the beans lined up to get it good. And I knew one day I'd do the same thing. Cause I'm out with hustle, we got that mind frame. Go and tell them I.
The woman was going to lock the bike with without putting it through the wheel and leave the speedometer on there, the bike computer on there. So maybe it wasn't a huge thing, but he'll still have his bike when he gets out of the hospital. Yeah, he's going to the hospital. Guess what? He can get very fucking sick. He could be in intensive care. He got a head injury. So, I'm trying to go by the number of minutes left. Hey, wait a second. Did we wear Chomo out?
For all the crackheads, yeah, this is for you. For all you crackheads, yeah, this is for you. For all you drug users, this one's yours. For all you drug users, this one's yours. I'ma sell rock to the sell love. Keep a hooker on every corner, very love. Stick to the rules and check the shit on those that wanna talk. Walk closely and I'll show you how the hustlers walk. I turn fees to pants, pants to fees. I'm living a hustler's dream. Still doped up the breed, I need some weed. And that's enough coke for me. Plus I took 2.5 cats to eat. And now I'm feeling like spitting it free. I'm feeling like spitting it free. Just spitting it free. Yeah, all the mad cats, even where the cats at, where the cats at, but this phone day, it's because you don't like rap, that's a fact. I'll put buttons through front teeth on that, matter of fact, where they at, the NTC ain't coming back. But it's all changed, you know me, when I'm too drunk to steal, I love the drive. Making bets on whether or not we gon' survive, but doing 95 on the wrong side, and they say we doing nothing with our lives. I'm surprised that lasted this long, I would imagine I would die alone, but I guess that's just how the story's told. No one makes money off hip-hop, I'd rather sell coke, I don't steal though. I ain't no fucking thief, I ain't robbing motherfuckers in the streets. If I'm doing dirt, I'm on your doorstep with a 20-piece. Sweet make the first one for free. I made money, man, any way that I can. From 100 grand to the last $2 bill in my hand. Every cent came from a fee. They bought my t-shirt, my shoes, and my jeans. So excuse me if I dedicate my life to this beat. Hip-hop, just a waste of his time, but he was hip-hop on 20% of the time. Yes, he's non-stop, 80%.
Cashing out your fucking feelings. Scrap. There's only so much I can do if he's gonna get doing it.
But he was hip-hop only 20% of the time. Yes, he's
the audio's still running.
The grind till his heart stop. Can't blame him for trying. You can't blame me for trying. In the end, I'm just a mental patient, patiently waiting, back and forth pacing, wondering if
either the audio will cut out or these tabs will just close magically. Take your bets. Oh, and there's plastic debris across all the lanes of one of the whatever road it was. If you call plastic debris on
arms reaches longer than the arm of the
Major
law.
Rouse's traffic report bingo.
Just so
You
you
get to
know,
make a
you ain't
donation to
safe
the
in jail.
cause of your
You might as
choice.
well kill yourself. But then again, we might meet up in hell with a well. Ain't no snitch go hold me down. I'ma stack paper till I hit the ground. Now, and fuck the law, you end up with a busted jaw. You repeating what you saw. My arms reaches longer than the arm of the law. I can reach you in the prison cells. Just so you know, you ain't safe in jail.
And that's
You might
why
as
they
well
keep getting
kill
P3.
yourself. But then again, we might meet up in hell with a well.
Segregation,
Ain't no snitch go hold me down. I'ma stack paper till I hit the ground. Now how's that sound? There ain't no money in hip hop, but there's plenty of fiends around. For all the crackheads, yeah, this is for you. For all you crackheads, yeah, this is for you. For all you drug users, this one's yours. For all you drug users, this one's yours. For all the crackheads, yeah, this is for you. For all you crackheads, yeah, this is for you. For all you drug users, this one's yours. For all you drug users, this one's yours. He said that hip hop just a waste of his time, but he was hip hop on 20% of the time. Yes, he's non-stop, 80% of the grind till his heart stop. Can't blame him for trying. He said that hip hop just a waste of his time, but he was hip hop only 20% of the time. Yes, he's non-stop, 80% of the grind till his heart stop. Can't blame him for trying.
Fact is, we're not dealing with petty criminals or cheap thugs making a show of their brutality. They have an extreme commitment to their cause. They're willing to do anything, no matter how vicious and underhanded. It's all the same. It's people anything to attain their ends.
I told the church I need to have it. For that money, that coin, I'm an addict. Still screaming, fuck it dead, homie. So I guess this life is more than just a habit. The day was a good day, but the night
You want to know what makes? If you want to know what makes the organized crime type authority so nervous about me, the one part where I don't fit into the rest of this crew, they never caught me with a weapon yet. I do all this and I don't carry a weapon yet. They haven't caught me with a weapon yet. The one thing they know, if they nail a warrior, they're gonna find guns, knives, something, or a warrior trap house or something. You can. I'm not revealing. This is what they think anyway. And it's in the news enough that you'll understand. That's why every time they see me with anything, oh, he's got a stick. And they call the fucking cut. They're this fucking wigged out about it. I ain't afraid of you people. That's why. There's a certain element, like armored cars, obviously they're armored and they carry guns, right? Because they're in the business. So a crack house, you're going to find gun. A trap house, you're going to find weapons to protect it, right? But they can't. They somehow think we're afraid or something. They're not getting it. They're not understanding what's going on it. I'll find something on your person to use on you. I'll pick up a piece of garbage off the ground. I don't give a fuck. I'll choke you with a whole fucking tampon or something. I can't count the number of fucking weird fires we've had in our neighborhoods. Did I start them? I don't know. But I pass out, wake up, and somebody's fucking house is on fire. It's happened over and over. One time, the cops rolled up on me and said, "Oh, you touched your belt. Therefore, that means you have a gun." I said, what? You were adjusting your belt, so like that means you have a gun. I was like, if they saw me adjust my belt, they saw how fucking skinny I am. Man. I'm sucking in a little bit, but not much. There's nothing there. If there's a gun there, you'd see it sticking out. Like there'd be nothing to hold it up. This is their life. That's how terrified they are. Mark Saunders ran up and grabbed me in the nuts one time. Oh, I'm looking for weapons. I have to check you for weapons. Whatever, then. Well, I'm from Chicago. Get the fuck out of here. You pussies make that. I'm from Nicaragua. Blah, 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 blah. In my country, we'd have cut off your hands already for this. I literally did that, didn't I, you pussy all? You're the whitest motherfucker out there claiming Ecuador. You don't have the right accent, dog. You've got the backwoods Barrie, Ontario accent, dog. sympathetic. The suburbs of Toronto. It's like saying Valley. If you were in LA, oh, she's a Valley girl accent. That's the equivalent.
Fact is, we're not dealing with petty criminals or cheap thugs making a show of their brutality. They have an extreme commitment to their cause. They're willing to do anything, no matter how vicious and underhanded. It's all the same. Anything to retain their ends.
You don't know what that means, you already got it.
I need to have it for that money, that coin. I'm an addict, still screaming, fuck you dead, homie. So I guess this life is more than just a habit. The day was a good day, but the night comes and watch darkness falls. Up the walls they crawl, demons and all. How is it that I'm always involved? My life is one big wrong, never to be solved. I'm walking at a pace to see more like a crawl. But trust there ain't no time to pause. I pull the weapon out and leave them dead just because. For you cows, I keep it extra slug. I'm sick of over the paper, see buckets of the road. You'll be a pretty boy, I can fuck your ass up.
I heard you say OWK. I said I'm OWKK. It'll be okay when I pull up the Oklahoma 47. I don't think you understand. We're not my brethren. We're just hands the microphone. These cycles come after like
life is precious and that is divine. Mistake those that search will eventually find.
What I'm gonna do with a gun, rat. When I own a perfectly good Japanese backpack, you go pull up backpack. I'm gonna
from an actual jam. This will represent for. I'm moving through shit all over this instrumental. Life is simple, just follow the rules and you can't lose. I still suggest you take the time to lace up the shoes.
Every day ain't no other way. Slang beats a fucking gang, summer wang, pushing every day. We in the game, live the 50 way, where we place, with the gifted faith, and you hit them
down to the sound of the police.
In the guts with the hustle bang, you in the muscle bang, good the land, baby.
No time for any sipping.
I don't know where that went, but the whole intersection looks empty. Well, my problem.
The drops and empty ripping. I see them all for what they're worth, minus the pennies missing. These minds are bending in them, grabbing at my ankles, but I'm hard to catch like jackrabbits on angel dust drops. On my fucking ass, it pops off, fucking dash. I spot them watch me busting chops off. Over Jack, Dutch's rap. But by the time that shit throats, days like ash off glass, lips smoked on, cold and wet. I've walked so many steps, I lost whatever was left and forgot what I came to get. But I'm a chop until I'm set. If the cop's fresh, I check. Step in my path and I'ma stomp you on your chest until my pockets are flexed. I'll lock the white bird as long as my head fucks with that cash. The pipe burns, I got beans feeding off the chicken scraps. Listen, Jack, flows got your nose dripping like a pooping flaps. Well, what can I say? You know I am dog. Shit, I'ma put whatever I get my hands on. Till bruised fingertips, I flow fluent and thick. Those clown MCs feel like they chewing on shit. Who's slipping when they spit, they like a slut all brewed up. I spit and leave a click, swig, spit it like coffee crew cuts. Shit have you toss the dukes up, this shit poppin' when we done with your motherfucker. Hung up like Christmas stuff.
Every day ain't no other way, slang beats a fucking gang, summer wang, pushing every day and night.
So from 13 to 18, the cops were always on me to go through my pockets, everything, blah, blah, blah. So I didn't do anything to fucking get caught. Why would I? And that's why I didn't run from the cops then. One of the reasons. And because all I need is for them to tackle me and to say, oh, yeah, this fell out of your pocket with you, which brings me to the next one. From 18 onwards, I pretty much always had things in my pocket that if you could have got your hands on, could have locked me up for a few months or years. And the thing is, since I already didn't run from you, I wouldn't run from you then because you would have to go into my pockets without probable cause. No possible opportunity for a struggle, nothing. Witnesses every fucking time. That's the only reason we don't do that. Run. Why? What are you going to do? Take me to court? You have to come to court too, right? So you won't be on road working when we're in there, right? And then there's crown attorneys and judges to get paid and all them COs. And then if they have to put some other cop on road that would have had the time off, get mad. And if they had to put some other cop on in your place, on your beat, you might be getting overtime. There's time and a half right there. Fuck. Was that $7 million courthouse? Or 10 or whatever? 7.
In the game, that the 50 way, where we stick in same way, win the bag, where we ride. We from a place where they get the bait, they get hit from strays and they kick away. Be alright. In the cuts with the hustle bang, thinking when the muscle bang, good the lane, where we ride. Every day ain't no other way, slang beats a fucking gang, summer way, pushing every day and night. We in the game, that the 50 way, where we stick in same way, win the bag, where we ride. We from a place where they get the bait, they get hit from strays and they kick away. Be alright. In the cuts with the
One of the episodes have gone to, I know I've recording the same episode sometimes and it's crap. I know, I'm so sorry. One of the episodes have gone to, we will catch this one. Matt Dillon's telling Chester Halfbreed, that's his fucking name, or type character's name. They must have, they're talking about the camp they were just in or whatever the fuck place they're coming. Oh, the cook in there, they must have a Chinese cook in that mess or whatever they called it because the food is so good or whatever. He says it better than I can. And it is such a stereotype. They will not talk about this. I want to say it's a positive stereotype. If you asked anybody from 1952 about that sentence, they wouldn't understand what you found wrong with it. The cook at that camp must be Chinese because the food is so good. We will catch that episode. We will get that. It's out there somewhere. I don't know all the episodes. I know the TV show ran like 600 fucking episodes. So Frozen. So God only knows how long the fucking radio show ran. The food's way better than some other place they were, or the last time they ate, or whatever the fuck. I was taught these chopsticks by a Chinese woman showing me how to eat soup with chopsticks. You can eat soup with chopsticks. So why are the fucking ventilation fans turned off everywhere?
Every time I think it's a lie. I wonder if I scream loud enough, could open up the sky. See the face of an angel, but all cocaine in an nasal. My life story we told like a fabricated fable. My soul's on the operating table, set that Weston's cables. You need to give a read to keep this type of patient stable. I'm feeling chemically imbalanced, desirable as me. I'm paranoid, visually watching for police. I'm a drug dealer with every heartbeat, with every breath in my chest, devoted to the death. That's the sense, need to release some of the stress. And when there's nothing left in the streets, and good it takes to eat. That's my peak. When we hustle, we don't sleep. Shake my dog and up for me. Lord, it's permission to speak. Tell me why it is the money I see. I tattoo my sins in my skin.
Because you serve
what I
purpose.
mean. My whole world is run by greed. But the dead are roaming the people in this world that I empty. My heart is empty. Woke up in the graveyard, laying next to God. I could hear his voice, but couldn't see him through the fog. He said that death would be easy, but life was always hard. So I guess I'll disregard what I've been through thus far. Woke up in the graveyard, laying next to God. I could hear his voice, but couldn't see him through the fog. He said that death would be easy, but life was always hard. So I guess I'll disregard what I've been through thus far.
My spleen is unhappy. Oh, my spleen is unhappy.
You hear the click clack, with the Juki clip in the back. I hit you fast, dash, move simple as that. When people load the guns, then they blast me with the bag. So when we laugh after we twisting your gap. I hope you whipping your scrap into me licking his ass. Now you know we carry extra clips and missive attack. You bitches wish you could rap, this ain't no city, you jack. If you flip what you flipping, hang you up, I'll whip you in half. That's what we living, only little, will be whipping your black. You stupid if you staying still with killers, pistol with black. Cause they kill you for that, I need a little of that. I got vanilla, filler, squirrel, triple one stack. So fuck club, where the criminals at? Man, who can up there, what happened in traditional rap? And fuck who said it's just the way you did them switching the back. Like a bitch flipping over, well I hit from the back. blast like the shit they call me back. Put the 20s in my hand, always got fiends on me if I don't have any fans. Up the bank and get by, but we bang while I try slow play. Till we die, make bank, but we drive on the place. Till my eyes glow, things from the eyes roll place. Get my mind's in the maze with the blindfold.
Moving everybody in it until I shake the hand and face it. I'ma handle my business, keep one hand upon the Guinness. Be at the over the mouth of the witness. I never said I was here to sin, but that's the fingerprints. So get me trapped in the liquor room at the precinct. Kicking me there again, the sergeant pin. How do I cope without my dough? Need another puff of that, yeah, I need another toe. Cause it's all cooked crack and make the money back. And if you fucking with me talking back, you get a slack. I'm not real shit, real quick, I run to the crib. I re-equipping and I'm off the stuff, crack to your kids. It's just how I live, or how I'm living. It's just a given, I was born sinning. I give a fuck, I'm trying to win it.
Up the bank and get by, but we bang while I try slow play. Till we die, make bank, but we drive on the place. Till my eyes glow, things from the eyes roll place. Cause my mind's in the maze with the blindfold.
We been pistol back, dug, looking back and forth. When you hear that click, clack, run, I'm him if the river was the hungriest one. I'm that silence in the thunder, I'm that noise in the night. I must be ice in hell, but I'm fire in heaven. The sight of the message you might see is singing. The reflection in the mirror looking unfamiliar. I recognize madman's glance from the eyes of a homicidal rider. Grinding for survival and involved with a prize. It's the highest, ain't no high.
Ontario woman, did I put this one up? Ontario woman has driver's, yeah, there it is, has driver's license suspended because of 16-year-old ticket. That's helpful. And if you read the article, you'll see, I was going to try to pull up music. If you read the article, you see there's a financial incentive for them to put people in situations where they'll just pay it. They'll just pay it. Right? That's, they incentivize that.
The 680 traffic watch continues.
So big, but I'm here to say, act now, like a renegade, that's my parade, don't contemplate. Act now, with a heavy weight, you know I get the book, I'm in control, but I have some systems, skipping, yoke, and 902, on my mind, let's just hear it one more time, 902, on my grind, stepping up,
it's outrageous that this government is good.
Well, maybe then the Fed should just park the money provincially and let the province administer it. It seems to me like the Feds have also dropped the ball. To Anthony's point, if nobody's subscribing, Doug Ford's complaining about that as well. There's a large pool of money there that's been untapped. You say, Peter, it's because it's too unwieldy. It takes several weeks before you can actually get the money. That's the federal program, and
I talk a lot of shit, but if the people running these radio stations, like actually doing the work, if they had a webcam on them, you would see the same look on their face as mine.
Anthony Fury, Peter Tabbins on the Oprah Show.
20 minutes of bumpers or whatever.
Maybe we can be civil about this. Just work things out. Then again, maybe we can't.
And Russell Alexander Family Lawyers.
International
This whole
tax
stuff
attorney.
so you don't have to. Go to bookria.ca to learn more. That's bookria.ca.
The move comes following a study last year that found a lack of access to these products has the potential to impact a student's school attendance as well as overall well-being. Traffic and weather together next. This is 680 News.
Milk.
I've got a craving for some McDonald's fries.
Protein.
Crispy, golden, hot. McDonald's McDonald's fries, the official fries of the Toronto Raptors three-pointers.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Studano, a licensed insolvency trustee at Video Debt Solutions. If there's one thing I can always tell people about
McDonald's fries, we never told you it was vegetarian.
It doesn't define who you are, and it shouldn't define your future. If you're struggling, take a deep breath and tell us your story. Your next chapter is waiting. Let us help you write it. Call 855-BDO-DEBT or visit debtsolutions.bdo.ca to book a free consultation.
When you call a Dell Technologies advisor, you get to talk to a real person who can provide tailored solutions that don't fit every small business, they fit yours. That's what it means to really listen. For solutions powered by Intel vPro platform, call an advisor at 310 Dell.
They opened up all lanes.
I know I could unplug it and plug it back in.
So everything's opened up around here, but it's horrible.
The chances are that's what something else happened.
Just before Dixon, solid all the way to Harmony. However, all lanes have just reopened. It's going to take a while for.
Or they've got control of 2/3 of the world's supply of strategic minerals when it comes to lithium-ion batteries, for example, which are really integral to, a lot of our high-tech development going forward. He's going to tell us how dire the situation is. It's dire on so many fronts, and certainly with COVID rearing its head now with the new variants. Let's get back into it with the sound of the Fury, Anthony Fury, and Peter Tabbins. Peter, Dr. David Williams yesterday was saying that this is sort of a whole new wrinkle that's been thrown our way. The unanticipated variants have opened up a Pandora's box. Can you see that that's something that couldn't have been anticipated? That's kind of his point. That's why we're sort of scrambling here, or at least having to go into phase 2 of the vaccine rollout and so on and so forth.
No, we've been talking about this since December, John. I mean, this has been known about since December. Frankly,
the toxicity, the transmissibility of the variants has certainly skewed the numbers and the modeling.
No, we knew this over a month ago. The last time the three of us were talking about Doug Ford saying, okay, we're down to 1,000 cases a day. It's all good. We can take our foot off the gas. No, even at the time, we were being told, look, the old COVID is dropping off, no question about it, but the new COVID is ramping up. We knew this more than a month ago. And frankly, for anyone to say that we didn't, that we're scrambling now because we just figured it out,
damn it. Well,
that's not defensible.
Right there on one of these.
This government knew a month ago that we were headed into another storm because of this mutated virus that was a lot tougher. We could see what was happening in the UK, how fast it was spreading, how much more serious it was. So there's no defense for that. That argument has no water in it at all.
Well, if there's a partial defense, I guess in the UK, you cite them, their numbers are down dramatically, the deaths and the ICUs and all the rest of that.
Yeah, because they vaccinated us like crazy.
Well, they got the vaccines on time. I guess that's the point. I can make that point.
Well, they have domestic production and we don't.
Well, okay, that may be a valid point, and why we don't is a whole other issue that I won't dwell on right now. I just wanted to get back to Anthony and something that you had said earlier, because, we're supposed to flatten the curve now on the ICUs. We're at an all-time high with admissions at 525 in the province. How do you kind of assess the situation with the ICUs? You were saying that some of these people working in there want, I guess, full compensation. There's talk of indemnity, meaning that they could be absolved of any liability when they strike up what are known as death panels, having to triage and make decisions as to who's most apt to survive. And I'm thinking to myself, holy jeez, has it gotten to that point, Anthony? What's your sense for it?
Well, they were always afraid it would get that point. Italy is really the only place that has ever actually had that happen in the first wave in Italy. So obviously we hope it's not going to happen here, and we wish everyone well. Who's in hospital right now, they just need to have that conversation prematurely, figure out all the nuts and bolts in advance in case they do get to that situation. I do want to caution, I was speaking about unethical narratives before the break, and we're seeing a lot of people talk about, and a lot of news stories say, younger people in the hospital, younger people dying. You see that and you hear that phrase a lot. Younger people dying. I've got the Ontario epidemiological reports in front of me here for today, and then from 2 weeks ago, and it's been about 2 weeks where we've been hearing this narrative. And in the 20 to 39 age cohort, there has been one person who has died of coronavirus during those 2 weeks. In the 40 to 59 year age bracket, there have been 12 people to die, so less than one per day. And then, it's obviously higher in the older demographics, most vulnerable. So I'm really frustrated with this narrative that we're seeing from some people. When they say younger, when you really probe the doctors, they clarify they mean that the age bracket has dropped just a little bit. So we're talking, later 60s and so forth, and gets lower. But people take younger to mean young people are dying of this, and that is not happening. And I think it's causing so much
18-year-old kid. Oh, right, 18. He's not a kid. Okay.
Speaking of fear and anxiety, what do you make of this phenomenon?
Good Christian values. We don't know how he could die.
A drive-through clinic there, and really had a total drop-off. It's with AstraZeneca of people wanting to take it.
And that one kid at Sick Kids,
this idea that it causes blood clots that's come out of the European Medical Agency.
They'll never tell us exactly what happened.
When we heard yesterday from NACI, the agency in charge of immunization, that the interval for us is copacetic. Should we trust their guidance or that of pharmaceutical companies, Peter, who said no, 21, 28 days respectively for Moderna and Pfizer? Are you good with the NACI pronouncements?
Well, they know a lot more than I do, John. I'm not an immunologist. I'm not a trained medical professional. I'm not even an untrained medical professional. And if we've got a national committee that's looking at this and trying to give us their best advice, I'm going to take their best advice. And I have to say, with regard to AstraZeneca, when you look at the numbers, if you're over 55, you're a lot better off getting an AstraZeneca vaccination than you are risking getting COVID. Your outcomes are far better. They say that the numbers are different when you're much younger. I'm willing to accept that advice. Yeah, don't take an unnecessary risk, but if you have to take a risk,
everything they can all the way along to fuck shit up to make as many people as possible sick.
Take that risk.
Therefore, you should probably
goes to you on this whole phenomenon surrounding AstraZeneca, the NACI pronouncements and so on and so forth. Are you confident they know their business?
So I had this bad headache the other day. I went to get the extra strength Tylenol. I haven't used it forever, thankfully, because I don't usually get bad headaches. It had expired like well over a year ago, and I was like, do I take it? And I took it, and I think it kind of helped and worked a little bit. The reason there's the expiry date isn't because they say, oh, it'll make you even worse or whatever after you take it, because they can't guarantee the efficacy. And I think what NACI is doing right now, is they're basically saying, yeah, you can take a headache pill a year after it's expired. It's not that big of a deal. Is that the wisest advice? I don't know about that. But at this, and we do hear about waning efficacy when you take these things in these broken down intervals. But I feel like they're saying, well, it's probably not going to do too much harm. It's kind of like the judgment call about the expired medicine.
By the way, you want to load up on those. Just having endured Tabbins for the last 20 minutes, you might just
Better than extra strength Tylenol, John.
There you go. All right, guys. I always appreciate you joining us on the Thursday edition. Anthony Fury, Sunpost Media columnist, national comment editor, and Peter Tabbins, NDP, MPP for Toronto Danforth. Stay well. We'll talk next week.
Thanks.
Let's get to Tom, just ahead of a news update here on the Oakley Show. Hello, Tom.
Thank you very much.
Avec nos citoyens, voir comment ils les vivent.
So we know that these issues around access to primary care just existed long before, and COVID's only exacerbated that.
इसी तरह players वही liberal सरकार की जोरदार जारी है कि सुपर मिलन वाले health care transfers which बेहतरी की जाए ताकि provincially run systems late funding प्रदान
so that's
budget.
Analyse de Daniel B. On écoute là.
Only get paid when you get paid.
It was this soundbite that we're playing was in English, but 88.9 Serve FM. So I don't remember if it's Portuguese, right? Or not? I don't remember. Saying something about it's all about this government ineptitude and crisis and COVID That's the time and blah blah blah.
音節目最不可缺少嘅都係一個字型，康出型。只要集合以上嘅元素，就可以渾然一體，成為高手登場。
逢星期二1點至1點半，於有共情康翠型節目內，通過 AM1540同 Facebook Live 跨平台同步播出。
可能根本就冇高手，或者人人都係高手。阿爸阿媽、家姐細佬、阿哥阿姐，寫要用心，而人人都可以係高手。
星島 A1 最強粉絲攻略，星島 A1 App，你收聽星島 A1 中文電台，點擊重溫你最喜愛節目，發掘最新特惠直播資訊，各節目粉絲專頁及精心炮製強檔視頻。哇！快啲上 Apple App Store 及 Google Play 下載星島 A1 App。收聽嘅係 AM 440，星島 A1 中文電台。
Hospitalizations and ICU admissions, as well as new COVID-19 cases, continue to climb in Ontario, and we're being warned the upward trend
That's not
is
the
in
correct
November.
alarm. I changed that. I want that changed over. What do I have to do to
Older can book a COVID-19 vaccine appointment if you live in one of the identified hotspot postal codes. The Blue Jays open up at TD
That is
Ballpark
why I
tonight.
don't
We'll update the
interfere with
opening
the
round at
listeners.
the
I just let it
Masters,
run
and the
because
Raptors will have a
every time I touch
three-man
it,
bench
it's
against Chicago. Sports at 15.
Another game 8 for the Bulls on Bay Street. The TSX up almost 100 points at a fresh record. Plus,
There was a home invasion slash robbery.
26.
Sign 501.
I just swore it was somebody getting stabbed or shot.
Well, thank goodness on the 401 and
Build an electric Silverado.
Eastbound 401 at Harmony, all lanes have
That
reopened.
wasn't today's
First of all,
story,
at the
but
scene
they'll
around
repeat that
Curtis
one.
Road where we had that issue with the tire that just struck the car. The eastbound 401 is still really heavy through here. Alternate's really bad as well. So eastbound 401 first of all slow through Mississauga Road to east of it from the 427 to the 400, then approaching the Allen to Leslie, alternately expressing collectors. Delays from Warden to Kennedy in the collectors, and delays from Dixon to Simcoe. Really heavy on the ramp to Simcoe, just because the ramp to Simcoe is a stop sign at the end of it, not a light, so extra jammed on that ramp. But after Simcoe, eastbound 401 getting better. The Ritson ramp to East 401 just reopened.
So you're a little
MTO just
big at the
cleared that.
government.
Watch out,
They
East
should
401
listen to
approaching
you.
Curtis Road on the left shoulder. We had a couple of, literally 2 MTO crews sitting on the left shoulder. There's no delay there, though. Everything's moving well through that stretch. And West 401 west of Curtis Road, everything's cleared away as well. From the 680 Traffic Center, here's Carlene Donahue.
Thanks, Jordan. Right now, we don't have too much on the other end of your routes here, but we do have stalled vehicles southbound on the 400, south of Shepherd, a right lane and right shoulder blocked by MTO crews, and a stalled transport that lost its wheels. So that is not causing a delay, but it is something to be aware of. If you're traveling on the eastbound QEW, looks like we have a new collision east of 3rd line. We have a left lane closed down, and that's causing a delay from Bronte. Right now, we've also got delays on the eastbound QEW from Trafalgar to Ford Drive. No delays on the eastbound Gardner. That's a clear commute. Westbound on the Gardner, delays DVP to west of Strong, then delays on the west QE through approaching 3rd line and from Appleby to west of Guelph line. Heading out of the city on the northbound DVP right now, that's a slow-going drive from approaching Bloor to north of Lawrence. Your next report's coming up at 5:11, and now with a look at the forecast, here's Natasha Ramsahheim.
Super warm. In fact, for Barrie, the warmest April 8th in more than 100 years since 1871. So it is well seasonal. That continues for the next few days. Tonight we're down to 12 degrees in Toronto. We have morning showers and then another second round of showers between 3 and 6 p.m. tomorrow
Yes,
afternoon.
up and down. This is what the city does.
Still work
Up
out
and
19
down.
degrees.
In and
Tonight
out.
down
This
to a low of
is
12
up and
degrees. It is currently 20
Very
degrees up
subtle
here.
messaging.
680 News Time 5:03.
Quick breaking news from east of the city. A pickup truck traveling westbound on the 401 lost a wheel, bounced into the eastbound lane, striking a vehicle, causing serious injuries. It's the third so-called displaced wheel incident of the day.
680's Mark Douglas joins us live now with the latest. Mark.
The militants came in and told that wheel to keep it moving.
Hit by a flying wheel, caving in
What
the
about this
driver's
truck you
side
just
of
did?
the windshield. It happened this afternoon in the eastbound lanes approaching Curtis Road. OPP Sergeant Kerry Schmidt says the wheel came off a pickup truck on the westbound side.
When you have a bouncing tire coming towards you at highway speed, drivers in the opposite direction have next to no time to react, and the outcome could be deadly.
Amazingly, though, this time the driver
impact.
suffered only non-life-threatening injuries. Serious injuries, however. Now, this is only one of 3 lost wheel investigations on GTA highways today alone. 18-wheelers lost some tires on the 401 at Nielsen and on the 400 at Shepherd. And don't forget, it was only last week when a woman's SUV was hit by a tire on the 401 out near Dixie Road in Mississauga. Schmidt says improperly installed summer tires are a common cause
this
of lost
timestamp
wheels.
thing here
He's
is
reminding
removed
everyone
in
again
like
to
10
get your
minutes.
newly installed tires properly retorqued after they've been driven on for about 100 kilometers. It is so easy to do. You can
That's
go
not what's
into
happening.
literally any garage, just ask them to retorque your tires. It takes less than 1 minute. Reporting live,
It takes
I'm Mark
less than
Douglas.
1 minute. What do you the wheel nuts start all wiggling loose and then the wheel goes loose. That's not what's happening. The hub's shut. It's because they're using air guns to tighten them. We went through this 25 years ago. We figured out what they're doing wrong.
6 Cities' Irene Precklet joins us with details as the province reports nearly 3,300 new cases.
Ontario is reporting 3,295 new cases today.
Stretches of like nuts and shit
1,417
shadows.
people are being treated in the hospital for COVID, more than we ever saw in wave 1. 525 people are in the ICU. That is the most during the entire pandemic. Dr. Fayez Qureshi is a surgical oncologist and clinical VP at the University Health Network. He says patients are younger and sicker in wave 3.
Patient after patient is extremely sick. They're on, artificial heart and lung machines to keep them alive. When I look into the eyes of our nurses, they are tired, they're stressed in caring for these patients, and it's very real and palpable.
As for more on the provincial numbers, Ontario hit a record for the most vaccinations in a single day with 108,563. I'm Irene Precklet. Where do you live? Starting today, residents ages 50 and older in high-risk areas will be able to book vaccine appointments at city-run clinics. 6 Cities' Momin Qureshi tells us, though, you have to live in a hotspot postal code. You can see the full list. It's long at 6citynews.com. Momin joins us live now. Momin.
Yeah, there's almost 50 of those postal codes, Jana, that can tell you if you are eligible to get the COVID-19 vaccine. Now, it's for anybody 50 years of age or older. You can begin registering at 8 a.m. tomorrow. So that's what you need to do if you live in Toronto in one of those hotspot area codes. Now, Matthew Pegg, the head of the response team for Toronto, says the city is expanding its vaccine rollout again on Monday.
For present, we are operating 6 city-operated vaccine clinics. That number, I'm very pleased to say, increases to 9 as of Monday morning. So as of Monday morning, all 9 of our clinics will be operating. At that point, Madam Speaker, we will be delivering vaccine at a rate of about 56,000 doses a week.
Now, the city actually has the capability to dole out about 500,000 vaccines a week, but as we've heard for months, that all depends on supply. Reporting live, I'm Momin Qureshi.
The Ministry of Labor sending inspectors into Halton Peel this weekend. 6 Cities' Phil Martino tells us dozens of inspectors will be going into those big box stores, malls, factories, warehouses, distribution centers. Phil.
James, Minister of Labour Monty McNaughton says that those inspectors will focus on the hardest hit areas, starting with Peel and Halton regions, and that includes those big box stores.
When it comes to big box stores, we've done literally thousands of visits since the beginning of COVID-19 there. We're particularly going to focus on masking protocols being followed, physical distancing, capacity limits.
Opposition leader Andrea Horvath says she supports the increase in inspections, but she tells me inspections have to come with enforcement.
We saw what happened at the Amazon warehouse. I mean, the government was there a dozen times when nothing happened, and they're giving those 600 workers contract COVID-19.
According to the Minister of Labour, if anyone violates COVID-19 safety requirements, they will take action. He says individuals like managers and supervisors can be fined $750 on the spot, and corporations can be ticketed for even more. Phil Martino, 680 News.
Ontario's Liberal Party leader taking aim at the Premier over comments Doug Ford made yesterday about ICUs.
Premier Ford seemed to indicate at Wednesday's news conference that he didn't find out ICU numbers were spiraling out of control until the day before.
The second I found out yesterday, immediately I asked him to start writing up the orders.
However, the provincial science table had been projecting this for weeks. Liberal leader Stephen Del Duca today questioning what took the Premier so long to act.
If it took until Tuesday, just a couple of days ago, for Doug Ford to realize that ICU numbers were out of control, when the rest of us have known this was the case for weeks, this is no longer about incompetence. This is about negligence.
He says he hopes the Premier clarifies his comments about when he knew ICU admissions were getting out of control Del Duca also renewing his call for provincial paid sick days. I'm Richard Southern.
And we'll track gas next.
Working from home?
Stay up to date on the coronavirus.
Now more than ever.
Listen 3, 4, 5 times a day on your radio.
680news.com.
Or ask to play 680 News on your smart
Okay,
speaker.
did we learn anything from Jesus?
Bolt Plus is your fastener specialist, plus so much more. Check out their massive showroom filled with an extensive inventory of industrial and safety supplies, such as abrasives, adhesives, and lubricants, anchors, storage bins, paints and coatings, cutting tools, chain hooks, and wire rope, plus a huge stock of DeWalt and Milwaukee power
You
tools.
have corded chainsaws, brethren. We need a corded chainsaw.
Bolt Plus, proudly Canadian owned and operated, many locations to serve you. Shop online, boltplus.ca. Now, 680 News gas price update. Info predicts the price will fall at midnight to 122.9.
As an entrepreneur, I always have to be ready to invest in our online presence.
I think capture the market, and in many cases have already done so to the extent that they control 67% of the global capacity to build these lithium-ion batteries by the year 2030. So how dire are things? Let's find out. Pierre Gradden has joined us.
Damn it.
So, yeah, right on point.
Yeah, keep it
Yeah,
up,
there's
keep
a
it up.
correlation I see here between, vaccines and outsourcing and all the rest, and not being strategic in making sure we've got supply chains covering our own country. You tell me in your words how serious the situation is.
Wow. Whatever you're resizing and everything. Fucking hell. The whole screen was decided.
It's not just capacity to make things ourselves.
You create weirdo shit and show it to other people. It reflects on you, not the person you show it to. It don't matter if it started off as a picture of me.
We all have to rely on one another to a large extent. But what we've seen through the pandemic is there are some things that we can't afford to be at risk of not having. And this issue in the metals or mining business has been around for a while. And I think it's just been magnified by the pandemic. But for the last 20 or so years, China has sort of by stealth captured a large portion of the rare earth business, rare earth metals, and industries around the world, not just Canada, the United States, Europe, are beholden to Chinese production.
Oh,
and of course, it's very difficult, though Canada's an enormous country and we've got a history of mining and a lot of mining expertise. There's no lack of resources, but it's very hard to compete with a state-owned enterprise where profit is not the motivation, but rather it's securing supply. So it's been very difficult for Canadian explorers and developers to get a piece of the rare earth business. And that's the problem we've faced for quite some time. What's happened in recent years is the United States has woken up
just compare it to these other places and tell me, and then you'll understand what's going on.
And they're saying, we can't continue this way. We can't be exclusively dependent on China. We need to find other sources for these materials. But that requires a real new way of thinking.
Again, Pierre Gradden's with us, President and CEO of the Mining Association of Canada. We're just talking about another national security issue, has to do with our supply chain of these strategic minerals necessary for a lot of high-tech components like, electric vehicles, even cell phones, solar panels, I've cited that, so on and so forth. And so when we got Mr. Gradden, China controlling the market, and they're even doing this, obviously, for strategic reasons. It sounds sinister, the way that I don't understand it. They're even manipulating the prices as a way to on purpose. Yeah, hurt competitors, correct?
That's right. Because they can, and it's not just in the rare earth business. It extends. Rare earth are a very particular type of mineral, but you can go to other metals that Canada currently mines, even nickel, which when I joined this industry 20 some years ago, we were the second largest producer of nickel in the world. We're now
Can you repair a nuclear submarine?
We've been overtaken by Southeast Asia, Indonesia, for example.
Well, these
but who's mining there? It's the Chinese.
Steel panels, iron panels, and sidewalks in certain places. You'll see them stamped where they're made. They used to be labeled USA. Now they say India and China.
The nickel price
in
Canada. I mean, it's an internationally set price, but they have
green City
brought
of Toronto,
so much nickel
burn and bury our
onto the
recycling
market
in the last 2 years
as a result of investments in Indonesia.
We can't sell it
operating not nearly to the same standards that we do, and that has a dampening effect on the price and makes it harder for our miners to compete. So even there was a time, you may remember, in the mid-2000s when Noranda, which no longer exists, was acquired, but Noranda was a big Canadian company at the time, and they tried to build a magnesium facility in Quebec. And China flooded the market, and the magnesium price collapsed, and that factory, that plant was abandoned, mothballed. It's still there. People still hopeful producing magnesium there someday, but
pull up Street View.
This is the dilemma we face. And so it's just sort of been slowly but surely across a range of different commodities. They've managed to capture, if not outright control, a strong influence, and they're able to make it very difficult for others to enter.
Again, Peter Grattan with us, President and CEO of the Mining Association of Canada, just highlighting a strategic concern that these rare minerals that are so integral to some of the things that, are creature comforts going forward here in the green economy and all the rest of that. The Chinese are doing a great job of hoarding and shutting out competition. So I guess the operative question then is, what should be done about all of this? I mean, this government, they're focused on a lot of things, but I'm not sure it's a real strong industrial manufacturing policy. Maybe you can help me in that regard. What would you do in a perfect world to somehow mitigate the problem going forward and give Canada an advantage? Because we're sitting on a bunch of these things. I mean, they're in the ground. We're a resource extraction economy. What should be done going forward?
Get these indigenous people out of the way.
I mean, I have been quite encouraged by the federal government in the last few years. Some other provincial governments, Quebec is extremely focused on this issue, and they're doing a great job building up key parts of their mining sector to supply those materials we need for batteries and so on, like graphite, lithium. They're very aggressive there. Saskatchewan's got some amazing research.
I didn't hear them mention Canada on the radio.
There's a number of things happening across the country, and I'm expecting, I mean, we'll see on April 19th, but I'm expecting in the upcoming federal budget there will be a number of targeted programs and initiatives to try to support and either the development of a rare earth mining sector and supply chain, and also to support our existing supply chains in those materials that we already.
No, they're all going to say, "Oh, common sense." Of course, you know that we're going to use these materials here. We're not. We're going to sell them at a loss.
Everything from investments in more public geoscience to help us find new deposits, to all the way through the value chain to helping to support new businesses in the that are going to make the magnets of the future, or in the electric battery space. I think we'll see programs of that kind, because it is an entire supply chain issue. It's not enough for the mining industry to dig up and mine these materials. We need customers, and so we have to grow that supply chain.
So GM's what's all going on is the electric Silverado.
Why I'm optimistic is because the U.S. is leaning on us heavily.
So there's an electric Mustang.
They really need us to come to the table on this. They're counting on us, and I have spent more time in the past year talking to U.S. officials than I have in my entire 20 years with the association. Like it's been a major change in our relationship. They're really counting on Canada to come through for them, and so are the Europeans. So I think the federal government turn a blind eye to this, nor do they want to, because our automotive sector is so important to the province of Ontario, has to transition to electric vehicles, and they can't do it without these materials. So they too need this to happen. Or
what's
we're going
wrong
to lose
with
out.
absorbed glass lead acid batteries? $189,
we
motherfucker.
We can't afford to do that. Too many jobs are at stake.
Well, it's great to have spoken to you then. I mean, we're at a critical juncture and need to know about it. For highlighting it, I appreciate it. Someone said we're in the midst of a global battery arms race. And right now, the Chinese are winning it, and yet we're poised in a position that we can do something about that. As we've learned our lesson from securing PPE and vaccines and all the rest, let's not drop the ball when it comes to these strategic minerals. Pierre Bratton, I appreciate your coming on this afternoon, and as I say, highlighting story of national significance.
I appreciate the opportunity. It's not too late. I feel we can be competitive in this space, but it's going to require everyone to focus and get the job done. So thanks so much for having me.
You got it. Well, we'll see what the federal budget has in store relative to this story. Pierre Bratton again, President, CEO of the Mining Association of Canada. Let's come back in a moment. Topics worthy of discussion. Adrian Batra, Editor-in-Chief of the Toronto Sun. David Wills, Senior VP with Media Profile. Up next on the Oka Show, 20 past. Back to the roads. We go on a check.
William Lyon, it says WL, but it's William Lyon with a Y. Mackenzie King, Premier Ministre, Prime Minister, 1921-1930, 1935 to 1948. Think of those years.
Now it's reopened. Looks like now just pressing collectors, a bunch up through Keel and the collectors. Delays from the
both these idiots are up there.
The Express and that stuff, and that's
hold on. I pulled up both of them at the same time.
But it is in the process of getting cleaned up, so should get something reopened soon. Get the Uno combo at Pizza, a large 3-top. Are still really jammed up.
Pizza imports their tomatoes. We grow tomatoes year-round in fucking greenhouses, and we're trucking them in from probably California.
Eastbound Highway 2 or King is just backed up anywhere east of Simcoe, all the way into Curtis. Same with eastbound Taunton. It's not as bad as King. And eastbound, all of that's terrible.
You get to throwing your garbage all over the sidewalk. I get to see where your shit comes from.
Everything's slow going eastbound and Oshawa
Big 100-ounce
especially those routes I just mentioned. But they slowly easing. The 401 is fine, though. From the 680 Traffic Center, here's Carlin Donahue.
Right now, if you're traveling on the northbound 400, north of the 401, we have a right lane blocked by a stalled transport truck, heavy tow truck on scene. And we have delays on that route from Rutherford to Teston. Northbound on the DVP, delays Baby Bloor up to north of Lawrence. If you're going northbound on the 427, you can expect to be in volume from approaching the 407 up to Highway 7. And northbound on the 400, it's heavy going right now from Steeles to north of Queen. Eastbound on the QEW, east of Third Line, we have a right lane, and rather a right shoulder blocked by a collision. Tow trucks on scene. It's causing a delay from Bronte, as it is a visual distraction, and then delays continue at the Ford plant on the east QEW. Eastbound Gardner's a clear commute, and if you're going westbound on the Gardner right now, it slows down from the DVP to west of Strawn. Looking for that pickup, minivan, or sports car? OntarioCars.ca. One site, thousands of vehicles, trusted dealers. OntarioCars.ca. Find yours. Now the forecast. Here's Natasha Ramsahine.
Well, temperatures during the day still 7 to 10 degrees above seasonal for the next 3 days, so it's mild. 12 degrees is our overnight low tonight, but we do have some showers in the morning as you wake up. So if you are having to head off to work, leave about 5-10 extra minutes, and then on and off through the afternoon. After 7 p.m., we should be in the clear, 19 degrees.
So everybody leaves 5 to 10 minutes early. They're still all on the road at the exact same fucking time.
Start to the weekend and 20 degrees. Enjoy that because Sunday the rain
it's
is back.
Sheer number.
Going to be heavy at times in the morning.
Day.
Second round in the evening. 17 degrees will be the high. Overnight tonight down to low of 12 degrees. It is currently 20 degrees at Pearson.
Coming up at the bottom of the hour, we bring you from the roads. Pickup truck traveling westbound lost a wheel, bounced in the eastbound lane, struck a vehicle east of Oshawa. Driver taken to hospital with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. Just one of several instances of flying or displaced wheels today alone. We'll investigate next.
The following message is from the Robinson-Huron Treaty Litigation Fund. Ani, my name is Jennifer Simpson, and I am reaching out to our Anishinaabe Relations and non-Indigenous treaty partners. The Government of Ontario is failing in its obligations regarding resource revenue sharing pursuant to the Robinson-Huron Treaty. Tell the Government of Ontario to stop their appeals of the Robinson-Huron Treaty Annuities claim decisions and to honor their obligations by signing the petition found on change.org. To learn more, visit rhw1850treaty.com.
We work for you.
From talking to the newsmakers
To getting the answers to what you need to know about COVID-19.
and answers about your job and finances.
If you have a question, ask it at 680news.com/answers.
680 News gets the answers.
We're in this together.
680 News, working for you. This portion of the news brought to you by Bernie Home Safe. Well, it's still a ways off, but it's happening. Rage Against the Machine has announced the tour they had to cancel because of the pandemic has now been rescheduled for next year. It includes some GTA dates. They'll play the First Ontario Center in Hamilton.
I clued into what it was like a split second before you said it.
Arena in Toronto, July 21st and 23rd. The band says your tickets will be honored from the postponed shows. Richie's Raging next.
If you had an electrical hazard in your home, wouldn't you want to know about it?
I miss Tiger Woods being there because isn't that really why a lot of people tune in to
You shouldn't be doing double the speed limit downhill on a road that's so bad. There's
still a
an
lot of
emergency
excitement
ramp
on that
for
field.
cars that are out of control or something.
There's always something very pleasant about watching the Masters.
Yeah, it's a harbinger of spring.
This fucking road.
You know, and it sort of gives us
Fucking
a
West
glimpse
Coast
of maybe
people are
happier
crazy. You have
times
to be
ahead.
like seriously
And the
insane
fact that, you know,
that far
Tiger's not
west.
there, it really does put a crimp in the ratings numbers. But, you know, they're saying that maybe there's a cadre of heels now that are starting to form in professional golf.
That
You know,
was
the
the
likes of
anybody that
Brooks
made it
Koepka
that
and
far, but
Patrick
just
Reed,
wasn't quite
you
built
know,
for
and
life on the
Bryson
West Coast.
DeChambeau,
That
you know,
road
maybe
said
getting a
get rid
little
of
too
them,
big for their britches and all the rest of that, and people want to see them brought down. David Wills, I mean, maybe, you know, we learned from wrestling. The heel is always the attraction. Do you think golf could use something like, I mean, it's a rather staid and maybe lackluster sport for a lot of people who don't appreciate, you know, all the inside. And Adrian, of course, is a fervent golfer. But do you think maybe that's a good thing for golf? You need some heels and personalities or characters people can hate.
Yeah, I think everybody loves a villain, or loves to hate a villain, or loves to cheer against a villain. But you know, I think the attraction of that is because they're usually so good, or they're so good at one thing, like hitting the ball long. But you know, I'm pretty sure that Tiger is done because you know, he's got some metal plates in his leg, and you know, I broke my leg years ago and had to have metal put into my leg. I haven't made the cut at a major tournament since, so I don't think it's looking good.
The low-rise gains have increased by 73% over the past 12 months.
I know people lose a foot and start playing hockey, standing up. That's like
people on TikTok.
His foot looks like the back of a dirt bike.
Just part of a Y2K fashion resurgence.
It's like a gang thing. They roll up a handbag on the side that has the prosthetic.
Tops, tank tops, and oval sunglasses. Base grade is remaining in style. The TSX closed at a fresh record high today, up 99 points to 19,228. Gold stock strong. The yellow metal up to $1,756. Canada's largest cannabis company, Canopy Growth, doing a little wheeling and dealing, spending $435 million to buy Supreme Cannabis. Didn't do anything for Canopy stock. It fell 5.25%, $35.75. The Dow up 57 points. The S&P up 17 at a record high. The Nasdaq up 140.
So how much money did the cannabis stocks lose this quarter? Oh, I guess we won't know for another.
You've been at home for a while. Your office is at home. Your gym is at home.
This is the report, and they say, unfortunately, more than half of those who did wound up taking on credit card debt as a result. So let me just ask you out of curiosity, I mean, I know you're a golfer. Is there anything else during the pandemic that you took up that you previously had not been engaged in?
Well, I got a Peloton. That was like very, very early on. I still do it, so that was good, and I'm glad I did because all of us in the family use it. with such limited ability to go do any sort of recreation. Yet even my 11-year-old is using
recreation.
But no, I have always been, okay, here's a confession for your listeners. I've always been a very avid Lego builder. I love building Lego. It's a thing. I love it immensely. And for every sort of big occasion, be it Easter.
No, there's a problem I'm having is everybody on that same fucking station is a closet Lego builder all of a sudden.
Mainly cloudy and 12, and tomorrow morning cloudy with showers and 14. Right now sunny and 20. It's 5:30.
That's actually where viral marketing started.
Toronto's #1 for breaking news, traffic, and weather. This is 680 News.
Good afternoon. This is Thursday, the 8th of April. I'm Slujana Tominzik.
And I'm James Monroe. Here's what you need to know.
Another car hit by a flying tire on the 401.
That wheel bounced off the highway onto oncoming lanes.
And this was only one of 3 lost wheel cases on the same day.
COVID-19 ICU admissions in Ontario are at record levels. This with another 3,000 plus day of new cases. The people getting the virus are younger and getting sicker. The province is launching a series of workplace inspections.
And we will have zero tolerance for those bad actors.
Inspectors will be focused on the hardest hit areas, starting with Peel
You just
and
make them turn the ventilation off.
Jays and Raptors are in action tonight. Nylander remains in NHL COVID protocol.
I don't understand what
and
the Jays,
Justin Rose leads in
the
Augusta
people that are
National
like that
Sports at
work
45.
in those
The
environments. I don't
records keep on
understand.
rolling for Bay Street. The TSX moving higher again. S&P 500 also rewriting those record books. Business at 56.
680 News Time, 5:31.
traffic and weather together on the ones in Chopper 680. Here's Jordan Kerr.
La-da-da-da-da-da-da. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Mississauga Road, they start, and then at Dixie and the collectors, then east of the 427 to the 400 express collectors, and delays through Keel and the collectors. At Bayview in the collectors, we have a stalled vehicle in the right lane, and that is causing a delay from the Allen Express and approaching Young collectors to Bayview. It's slow going again from Victoria Park to Kennedy collectors, and approaching Curtis Road. We have the left shoulder blocked by MTO. That's due to an earlier problem. No delay through that stretch. Westbound 401 right now, delays is Lincoln Express out to Dixon, and then approaching Mavis Express, Mavis collectors to approaching Mississauga Road. Northbound on the 400, north of the 401, we have a right lane blocked by a stalled truck. We've got heavy tow truck on scene, and we've got delays on the north 400 from Rutherford to Teston. Northbound on the DVP, it's slow approaching Don Mills to north of Lawrence. Southbound on the 400, south of Shepherd, right shoulder is blocked by a stalled vehicle that lost its wheels. No delay through that stretch. Southbound 404, that's slow from south of Finch to the 401 ramps. Heading out of the city on the westbound Gardner, expect volume between Jarvis and west of Bathurst. Westbound QEW, that's moving slow. Appleby to Gulf Line. If you're traveling eastbound on the QEW, good news. East of Third Line, we did have an issue that has cleared away. Now we just have delays left over on and off from Third Line up to the Ford plant. Eastbound on the Gardner, delays approaching Bathurst to Young. Your next report is coming up at 5:41 with a look at the forecast. Here's Natasha Ramsheim.
Because people keep walking up to them with money.
We could use some significant rainfall. We'll get a little bit tomorrow, maybe 1 to 3 millimeters. A round of showers in the morning, 12 degrees to start, and then on and off showers through the afternoon after the lunch hour. We've got 19 degrees on the way. Could see a couple of heavy downpours during that drive home. By 7 p.m., we're dry again. Overnight tonight, down to a low of 12 degrees. It's currently 20 degrees at Pearson.
This is 680 News.
Big breaking news from the roads. It's happened again. East 401 closed from Harmony to Curtis briefly today after a pickup truck traveling westbound lost a wheel, which bounced into the eastbound lane, striking a vehicle and causing serious injuries.
680's Mark Douglas joins us live. The latest, Mark.
James, a blue car on eastbound 401 had its windshield caved in on the driver's side because of yet another flying tire.
A pickup truck that lost a wheel 401 near Curtis Road. That wheel bounced off the highway over the wall onto oncoming lanes.
It happened mid-afternoon today. OPP Sergeant Kerry Schmidt reporting the injuries are serious but non-life-threatening. And Schmidt says there were 2 other cases of lost wheels Also happening today.
Transport truck that lost a set of wheels from a trailer, Highway 400 southbound near Shepherd. We have another transport truck that lost a wheel, 401 near Nielsen.
All three incidents are under investigation. The causes of the wheel detachments still unconfirmed, but Schmidt says there's a common culprit for this type of emergency at this time of year.
And we often see, again, we talked about this increase of wheel separations in this time of year when a lot of people are installing their summer tires.
You may remember the same thing happened on March 30th on the 401 near Dixie, when again a flying tire went right through the windshield of an SUV. Schmidt reminding everyone how critically important it is to go to a dealership and get your summer tires retooled.
Fuck you! I'm gonna get a cage installed on the windshield.
Only about a minute after you've driven on those summer tires for about 100 kilometers. Reporting live, I'm Mark Douglas.
This is 680 News.
Oh, well,
ICU
chain
rates
link
are
fence
setting
right to the
record highs
outside.
again
Fuck
today as the province moves through the first day of another stay-at-home order. This one comes
Wide
almost a
eye,
week
wide
after it was
eye,
suggested as the best course of action to slow the spread of COVID variants. 680's Irene Franklin joins us with the latest as the province reports.
Somebody hit a bridge and didn't stop. They hit it hard enough that it has to be inspected.
3,295 new cases today. 1,417 people are in the hospital being treated for COVID. 525 of those in the ICU. This is the most COVID-19 patients in the ICU since the pandemic began. Dr. Fayez Qureshi is a surgical oncologist and clinical VP at the University Health Network. He says some of those numbers are expected to continue to climb for the next several weeks.
As I was walking through the ICU, my heart was thinking, I can't believe that some folks outside of the institution don't believe that this is happening. It is absolutely real, and this is a true crisis that we're facing in the healthcare system.
As for more on the provincial numbers, Ontario reporting a record for single-day vaccinations with 108,563.
Yeah, but very mutations.
This is 680 News. City Council reviewing how Toronto Public Health has responded to COVID outbreaks in workplaces, as well as how to set up those mobile vaccination clinics. We have plenty of postal code information for you. 680's Mo McCarthy joins us live. Moment.
Yeah, James, almost 50 of those postal codes. And the reason they're important is because if you lived in one of those identified areas and you were 50 years of age or older, started to
put these things out, originally was, the end of September, and then the Prime Minister said, I think by the end of June that everybody's going to get a first shot. And now the Premier is putting this out there. It gives you a little bit of hope. It gives you the will to have some patience. For those of us who are going to wait, still waiting our turn, I think it's a good thing to do. I think Ontario is figuring it out. I think it was a little slow in the ramp up, and we've had some bumps where you had these great days and then these big dips where not too many were vaccinated. I think they've got that moving now, and I was really happy that he put it out there because I think it gives us some. Everybody wants it to succeed, right? And I think putting it out there like that says 40% by in a month away. I like that. That's good. And, hopefully we get it and beat it. But I think if we fall a little bit short, I think that's okay as long as we're working towards it.
Well, all right. That's kind of an interesting way of putting it. I mean, if you were to fall short, Adrian, do you think there'd be this spirit of collegiality saying, well, but at least he's given it a try? Or do you think there'd be people like Andrea Horvath ripping them 7 ways to Sunday?
There's that old axiom, under promise and over deliver. And the challenge that Premier Ford's going to have is that if they under deliver, if we do fall short, which let's hope we don't, supply maintain, as long as we can maintain that supply and they can get them in the arms, the opposition will go after him. The usual suspects, the Toronto Star will go after the Premier. I get what David is saying in terms of giving that semblance of optimism and hope, because I think when they did even talk about yesterday with the mobile units being engaged and specific postal codes, is a little confusing for people. At least they're thinking, all right, I'm getting there. I'm getting in the queue. I'm not just going to be left hapless and not have the ability to get vaccinated. So it's an interesting sort of psychological exercise that we're all going through too, because we're watching our friends in the United States. We're seeing people around the world. The images on TV of the ball games and huge, significant stories coming out about how many they're vaccinating a day in the United States. We need something to look forward to. So I'm sort of with David on this in terms of that aspect of optimism that it is going to come our way, and we can maintain the level of rate of vaccination as long as we can continue to get the supply.
All right, I wanted to come back because, Ford's in almost an impossible position here, that tension between a stricter lockdown and those who favor lifting restrictions. So I want to find out if he struck a balance here that might be appropriate and, while not perfect for either party, is the best that one can hope for. We'll get your take when we come back. More topics worthy of discussion with Adrian Batra, Editor-in-Chief of the Toronto Sun, David Young, VP of Media Profile. That's a leading Toronto public relations agency. More Oakley in a moment. Global News Radio, 640 Toronto. Insightful.
617 people will be diagnosed with cancer today. But if 618 people donate today to the Princess Margaret Cancer Foundation, you can help us move faster than cancer. We can continue to increase patient survival.
That's low. That is low.
Create new therapeutic strategies and less toxic treatments. And together, we can move faster than cancer. Donate to the Princess Margaret Cancer Foundation today.
Tuesday on Kim's Convenience.
You only hear what you want to hear, so you can say what you want to say.
Oh, thank you. That's nice to hear that. There's lots in store. No doubt.
I think it's a very good idea.
That's awesome. And a great deal of laughs. So funny.
Grams. No, I just said grams in a funny way.
Wow, that's great.
Cool. You join us? Don't miss the final episode of Kim's Convenience. It's really good. Spoiler alert. Tuesday at 8 on CBC and CBC Gem. Can you see you?
680 News Time, 541.
Traffic and weather together on the one, brought to you by Pizza Pizza. Shop for 680. Here's Jordan Kerr.
Well, eastbound on the 401 is slow going through Mississauga Road, through Dixie and the Collectors, and east of the 427 to the 400 Express and Collectors, and delays from the Allen Express approaching Young Collectors to Bayview. Very heavy in the Collectors because we had an issue at Bayview. That has cleared away. Then it's slow Victoria Park to Kennedy and the Collectors. Westbound 401 delays Islington Express to Dixon. Had an issue west 401 approaching Mississauga Road under the Credit View Bridge. Again, the right shoulder is blocked off with an issue. It's backed up from Pure Ontario Express and from Mavis and the Collectors. Once again, really slow through the stretch this afternoon. En route to Rutherford and Weston Road, eastbound Rutherford was blocked up at Weston because of a crash, really heavy in all directions. From the 680 Traffic Center, here's Carling Donahue.
We have on the northbound 400 north of the 401. There's a stalled transport truck on the right lane, and we got a heavy tow truck on the scene.
7 steps per minute, 7.48 kilometers, 0.42 kilometers.
South of Shepherd, a right shoulder blocked by a stall that lost its wheels. There's no delay caused because of that. If you're going on the westbound Gardner, expect delays between Jarvis and west of Bathurst. Westbound QEW moving slowly between Appleby and Guelph Line. If you're on the eastbound QE, we've got on and off delays between 3rd Line and the 4th Line. And then eastbound on the Gardner, it's from approaching Bathurst to Young right now. Northbound on the DVP, we have delays approaching Don Mills to north of Lawrence. And if you're taking the southbound 404, it's going from south of Finch to the 401 Rams. Now with Pizza Pizza, try the new superfood and get the Uno combo with Pizza Pizza. Large 3-topping pizza, 3 cans of Coke, and a limited edition deck of Uno cards for only $14.99. Only at Pizza Pizza. Now look at the forecast. Here's Natasha Ramsahai. Yeah, the sunshine was really nice today. We're not going to have quite as much sun tomorrow. In fact, we've got morning showers and then some on and off showers as well through the afternoon after lunch. Still mild though, 12 degrees as you wake up, 19 through the afternoon. Remember, that's cooler near the lake. And we're getting back to dry conditions on Saturday, partly cloudy and 20. Enjoy that start to the weekend because by Sunday we're back into some heavy rainfall. Overnight tonight down to a low of 12 degrees. Right now we're sitting at 20 degrees at Pearson.
Now the Dynamic Funds Market Minute to the Business Center. Here's Richard Southern.
Well, Janet, thank you. The TSX picked up 99 points to settle at another record high close, 19,228, up almost 11% year to date now. On Wall Street, the Dow was up 57 points to close above 33,500. S&P 500 notched a record high, adding 17 points, and the NASDAQ was up 140. Gold glittering brighter, up to $1,756, and the Canadian dollar at 79.57 cents US. This is 680 News.
Being active is better than being reactive. Dynamic Funds doesn't just take what the market gives. Ask a financial advisor about active management and learn more at dynamic.ca/advice.
Your employment rights with Lior Samfiru from employmentlawyer.ca.
COVID-19 has forced drastic employment changes on many Canadians in the form of layoffs, pay cuts, reductions.
I was hoping for a nice
Welcome back. Topics worthy of
government propaganda. That's the technical term for it.
And don't forget to download the Pizzaville app. It's so convenient. It'll be convenient going forward every time you've got an inclination to have the best pizza anywhere, along with the chicken poppers, the chicken wings, and all the rest. You download the Pizzaville app or go to pizzaville.ca. Also ensures that contactless delivery. You can pre-order prepaid to ensure all of
The delivery guy tries to touch me again. I'm going to touch him back. I swear to God.
And David Wills. He's a senior VP with Media Profile, a leading Toronto public relations agency. And David, let me ask you, I mean, this is where Ford's on the horse of the dilemma because he's being sort of buffeted from both sides. On one hand, there are people who've been imploring that he lift restrictions, even more so than he did, when we were in the gray lockdown, and he'd allow for patio dining. And so people were heartened by that, putting elaborate patios together, and nice weather was here. And maybe you actually experienced some of that for the 12 glorious days where it was in effect. And then you've got other people and the serious medical types who are ICUs are stressed, on capacity, they need to lock down strictly everything, even kids not going to schools for in-school learning. Has he struck a balance here where you think, or has he deferred to one side over the other? What was the right route to take here?
Well, I think if you look at all the criticism that's coming, he didn't pick a side, because I don't think anybody's really cheering on any of his steps. It's, some is not enough, some is way too much. But I think, when we look at what could have been done, we pivoted too late to trying to vaccinate hotspot neighborhoods. We pivoted too late to going after essential workers. There hasn't been real evidence about, in small retail, they're being spread there, and they're bearing the brunt of it again. But there's tons and tons of research or evidence that shows that in big warehousing and logistics things like at Amazon, where there's been more than 900 cases of workers getting it.
I would love to do a walk around and point out all the air handling equipment turned off or whatever.
Were most vulnerable. That would have slowed community spread. It would have allowed for a little more normality in with the business lockdowns, because you could have still had the restrictions on the number of people there. And, the last one, they said, it was impossible to cut off certain areas of the big box stores. Lo and behold, they did it in like 2 hours yesterday to close off those sections. So then there's that mistrust, because they said it couldn't be done before, and then it was done so easily this time. I think people aren't buying it, and there's this frustration with this third wave lockdown that, I think there was fear the first one, frustration the second one, anger with this one. And that's part of the reason why. But I think now that, we're trying to focus on the people who most deserve to get the vaccinations the quickest in order to stop spread. That should have been done before, and that would have lessened some of the criticism on this current lockdown.
All right, but they have entered what he's called phase 2. They have pivoted now, and so I don't know if it's the case that, clarity is, part of hindsight here. Now, Dr. David Williams, Adrian, was saying that the variants have opened up an unanticipated Pandora's box. That's where the great change came, the equation here, the wild card in all of this.
I anticipated it, and I think people thought I was paranoid to say it.
And up in hotspots, they're going into workplaces with mobile units. Teachers, special needs teachers will be vaccinated across the province. Teachers in the hotspots, meaning Toronto and Peel, will likewise be prioritized. Has he got it right this time, the third time being the charm? Do you applaud him for that, or is it a game? I'm not saying too little, but too late to have made a difference, a significant difference, or they could have done better? How do you see it?
Well, the front page of my paper said third time's the harm. So that's what we said today on the front of the Sun. But I just want to jump in on something that was mentioned earlier with respect to wanting to get those that work in the big manufacturing vaccinated. So we have the story today that there were 5,000 doses offered to the region of Peel. Dr. Lowe, their chief medical officer, rejected them. He said it would be unfair that someone at this age is going to get vaccinated over someone over an older age. And I think that speaks to where some of this ideological bent comes on lockdowns. They are so married to it now, they have no other course other than to do that. Yet in the meantime, they don't talk about the other harms that are being caused here. The surgeries, the canceled surgeries, the people that have died that didn't go into the hospital, the suicide rates, the people that are on the brink of financial ruin, the people that are going to suffer massive and are already suffering massive mental health challenges. No one talks about these consequences that we are going to have to deal with after these lockdowns. And so, though I think that as any politician is in such a rock and a hard place, and it's an unenviable position to be in, but they have simply deferred and continue to defer to those around their medical advice. Well, we've said it for some time. Perhaps it's time for a second or third opinion, because we are. Does anybody honestly believe this is going to be 3 weeks or 4 weeks? Because I certainly don't. Because we can go back to December, we can go back to January. Let me just get down to 2 more weeks. Just 2 more weeks. Well, it's really, really dragged out a long time. And I know that we're not going to vaccinate our way out of this, though we are getting better. We just have to.
How many
So many professional organizations have presented ways and means of safe opening and giving citizens the ability to have something in their hands to feel safe and businesses to survive. So balance or not, I don't think the balance struck for some time now.
So what you're saying, it's government overreach, unnecessarily strident or too restrictive. David Wills, I mean, you find there's merit to what Adrian had to say, or do you think that this is the right approach and we need to be more proactive now, as we've been or we're about to be, and also continue the 28-day lockdown, that it will have some kind of impact?
Well, I'm not convinced the 28-day lockdown is going to have much of an impact. I'm with Adrian on that. I think, they've been, some of the medical professions have been ringing the bell on the variants for months now. And it was like delay on doing anything with it. But, there's things that could have been done all the way along. I may be alone ideologically on this particular panel, but paid sick days would have let people make better decisions to not go to work when they're not feeling well.
But somehow they would make it not apply for the first 90 days or some bullshit, and it still wouldn't work.
I was talking to a friend from Michigan. His wife is a school teacher. She was vaccinated very early on because the state of Michigan identified that keeping schools open was going to be key. It was going to be key to keeping their economy going, and we identified that here too. And there is a resistance to vaccinate teachers here. It started now with special ed teachers, and teachers who live in these postal codes can get it. And, if we want to keep schools open, and they're kind of just hanging on to the hope the school year goes on so they don't have to give favoritism to that group, but they could have made hard decisions like that. They could have gone after the Amazon workers. They could have gone on these things. I haven't read Adrian's story yet on the one in Peel, but that really concerns me because that just seems silly. And I think, in that case, the province should have stepped in and said, no, we're like, they're the boss over municipalities, and they said, we're going to do it. They're running the vaccination clinics. They could have done that, and they should have done it. But if it was the Peel Medical Officer Health said, no, that's not fair, I want to do it by age, that should have been good on the sun for calling that out, because that doesn't seem right.
Wow, that's a nice endorsement from you, David, albeit rare.
That's great. I'll take it.
By the way, I don't know why you cite Michigan, because they're out of control. It's raging there in Michigan. They're the second worst state behind New York in terms of infections and all the other.
The only thing there was that they prioritized teachers. That was my point there.
I got you. You mentioned Amazon too, which is interesting because Amazon workers, they will
disability benefits and
social media backlash because one of these, I guess the Democrat in Wisconsin, one of the representatives there, tweeting last week that Amazon was denying its workers the opportunity to urinate, or rather than, letting them, be in a dignified way. They got to urinate in bottles while they work. And he said basically paying workers $15 an hour doesn't make you a progressive workplace when you union bust and make workers urinate in water bottles. To which Amazon replied, you don't really believe the peeing in bottles thing, do you? They responded back on March 24th, if that were true, nobody would work for us. And then there were a flood drivers and all the rest came in and said, are you kidding me? That's what we got to do. Where else are we going to go? When it comes to these kinds of matters, I mean, maybe it's an awkward question, but, maybe vehicles ought to have something like, we've got cup holders and, all kinds of other things to facilitate creature comforts. Adrian Batcher, wouldn't it be a smart thing if there were some kind of a catheter device? Ever been caught in traffic, let's say on the 401, and you're trying to get out of town and you're there for 3 or 4 hours? I mean, what do you do? Where do you go at that point?
Well, for any parent that's listening that has the kids in the car that says, I gotta go, and they're not baby age anymore, what are your options? The bottle that they just drank the pop out of, and that's their option. I remember at the onset, March, April of 2020 in the pandemic, and we were hearing from truck drivers. Because truck drivers were, we needed them to still transport our goods across the country. And because everything was closed, they had nowhere to go. The gas stations wouldn't let them go there. The small businesses were mostly closed, but they didn't have that as an option. There's only so much you can do on the side of the road. And so, it's a very real issue. And it may be uncomfortable for some people to talk about, but perhaps there is. With all the money that Amazon has made, perhaps there is something that they can fashion for their workers with respect to the long-haul transportation.
It's called a paid break.
I don't know. I think there might be a segment in there for you, John, to talk to someone.
These are the same people tell you their AI is the best.
Or around the industry.
Wait a minute. Why don't we defer to Wills? He bought a bunch of power tools recently. He's obviously got a facility for cobbling things together, on an ad hoc basis. No, I mean, my question is a serious one. If people have, especially increasingly caught in traffic, what do you do? Where do you go?
What is wrong with
There's something a little less dignified to that than maybe having some apparatus that's an aftermarket thing you can add on, or it's built into the car itself, into the glove box. Would that make sense to you, Will?
I'm not buying your used car, John, no matter what price you're
Why do you think it's rusted out, for crying out? The floorboard's gone. Where do you think that came from?
I think you got to learn to go before you leave.
Well, yeah, I know, but when you leave, you don't anticipate you're going to be stuck in traffic like the hellacious stuff that was happening there up by the Stouffville Road. If you're in there for 6-7 hours and you can't get out, where do you go? What do you do?
I know. Well, that's an age-old problem. Like, I can't blame Doug Ford for it, and Adrian can't blame Justin Trudeau for that one. So we're sort of stuck coming up with funny solutions on it. But the serious part about Amazon is that they don't let their workers leave their posts to go. That's the issue. It's not about we can be more humane by giving them a catheter. That's horrible.
Well, it is. And this is the richest man in the world, Bezos. It doesn't reflect positively on him. It doesn't make it a progressive.
I don't understand the rationale either. Like, you don't understand the rationale. Let the people go.
Let my people go.
The great cry of the great emancipator, Adrian Batcher. Hey, finally, I've got to ask, because there was a story here in Blog TO. Food banks in Toronto were asking people to stop donating food that expired decades ago. In one instance, there was some graham wafers, I guess, that were 21 years old, and beef broth that was over 10 years. I mean, we know that some of this stuff are non-perishable, but my God, how far would you go, Adrian, before, let's say, you toss something? Does a best before date on a label mean anything? Do you fly right by that? I mean, and if so, how much latitude do you allow?
I am quite specific about the best before date. I do not let it go. I am even ahead of the curve. A couple of days, no, it's got to get tossed. It's got to go. So I am. Who the hell keeps 21-year-old graham crackers? How did they not get up and walk away after a while?
Well, that's the point. They didn't keep them. They donated them to the food bank.
That's what white people these days.
Yeah, they keep, right? You have preserves. They are in a can. We all stocked up when we first thought we were going to have massive supply chain issues. We got our bunkers
We never
ready.
thought that.
We did all those things.
Again, the media kept saying that. They were showing up there, oh, look at all the shelves are empty. And you look on the shelves and they're full. It says they can't get cleaning supplies. Real close on the shelf is Lysol and stuff.
Donated to the food bank? Come on.
Oh, there's a couple of empty shelves.
I think is what's required here.
Yeah, they're using it as a dumping ground, which is unfortunate. But, same question to you, Mr. Wills, real fast. Do you go past the best before date, or do you have this thing with your wife
throw
where you
food
say,
that is nothing wrong with it, help and drive up the
just hold it up
prices?
to her nose, and that's the litmus test?
I've been told over and over and over.